Well guys, as you can see, it's a rather grey day, rainy day. Well, it's been drizzling. I wouldn't say overly rainy, but not your normal blue sky day. But that said, it's fairly dry at the moment after the shower, and perfect opportunity to get out without blazing sunshine and heat. It's not overly cool, it's probably about 27 degrees, but with the cloud cover, really nice, a nice change to the current high temperatures we've been having. Severe weather warning for tomorrow for 41, 42 degrees, and the following day it could get up to 45, so very warm indeed. So guys, I thought I'd get out this morning and have a quick toodle around on the Super Meteor 650, and while most people would prefer blue skies and sunny weather, to be honest, this is an absolute godsend if you want to get your gear on, your pants, your boots, your jacket and your gloves, and enjoy a bit of motorcycling. So like in the UK and other places where you're looking forward to a sunny day, this is absolutely brilliant for riding, to be honest. So I mentioned in an earlier video that I put the Super Meteor on the hardest setting on the suspension on the back, and although you can hear my voice is still quavering a little bit on this really badly paved road, it's got lots and lots of potholes that have been repaired, but the general surface is very undulating. It's one of the worst roads around here, and of course you don't get anything like this vibration on the Vosges. It's purely because of the harder suspension on the Super Meteor 650. Now, although my voice is quavering, it's not unduly uncomfortable. The saddle's quite comfortable on the standard seat, and I'm not getting any of the bottoming out that I had before if I hit a severe rut or dip. Now, what used to happen, guys, on the Super Meteor, if you hit a dip, it would severely jar your back. The bike would bottom out, and you'd get a really bad bang to your spine, lower spine or whatever. But on its current configuration, it's very good. Now, just toodle along a bit further around this next bend, and we get onto some fairly smooth asphalt tarmac, and there we go, guys. That's a lot better. You can actually hear me speaking now. If you can hear me speaking, I've got an open face helmet on. I don't know if you can see in the mirror there, and I've got the microphone under my chin, so it usually picks up okay, but it might get a bit of wind noise on it as well, even though it's got a muffler on there. Yeah, I was watching one of the regular channels that I watch on YouTube, the Bingley Wheeler, and he has some amazing content, and as you know, he likes his Royal Enfields, and he just happened to say something the other day that I'd stated many years ago when I had my classic 500, and that also is the same with this particular bike I'm on at the moment, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. The statement he made was that when he rides his classic 350, he doesn't really have to think about it, and he can just enjoy the ride and the scenery around him, and take in things that the senses should be taken in when you're on a motorcycle. The smells, the pine, the grass when it's been cut, the views and everything around you. Although it's an amazing feeling riding a motorcycle, when you get to that state of riding and you're enjoying your riding like that, sensory sections become greater than your riding. The riding becomes secondary and almost automatic. Never should we take it for granted and make it that way in a manner that it's going to be detrimental or dangerous to our riding, but it certainly is something that you don't really have to pay due attention to as much as you do on a bigger bike. And I remember making the same statement many years ago on the Classic 500 I had back in 2016, so you're going back 8 years ago now. And to be honest, that bike, I really loved that bike, guys. It was a beautiful bike to look at, a beautiful bike to ride, doing exactly what I'm doing now, and that's tootling around these country lanes, going nowhere quickly, going nowhere in particular, just seeing where the open road took you. And that feeling of being at one with your bicycle or your motorbike, where you absolutely gel with it and you really bond with it, is something really special. Now, he was saying that when you get on a bigger bike, and I find that as well, if I get on my Vosges 900, firstly I'm aware of the weight high up, and obviously the potential of the bike, there being a higher potential. It's nearly 100 horsepower compared to 47 with this. But the difference being, and it's quite a strange thing, guys, when you look at it on paper, this particular Super Meteor that I'm riding now, it's a heavy little bike. It's 240 kilograms as it is at the moment, sat on the road and riding it. And the Vosges 900 again is 240 kilograms. But the difference, apart from slow manoeuvring, is vast, guys. If you get on this and you're tooling around like I am now, you could be on a 250, a 350 or whatever. It's a very easy bike to get along with and ride. And something like the Vosges 900 or any big adventure bike, you've got to give it some respect. You really have got to be careful of what you're doing when you come into a junction, whether you have a camber on that junction, you can't get your foot down, the centre of gravity goes one way and past the tipping point, and then, especially with a pillion and luggage on, once it gets further than your legs and your body can hold up, that bike is going to go over. And often you find on big adventure bikes that when you're slow manoeuvring and you're tootling around with your feet on the floor, but you lock the handlebars over into full lock to turn it round, and the bike will cant over one way, and it's a very precarious and dangerous thing or position to be in. One that needs the utmost respect, and once you do it once, guys, and it catches you up, you won't do it again. You'll learn from your mistakes. So, another thing I wanted to quickly cover with the Super Meteor 650, and I've said this in other videos, as it sits now, as it came out the showroom, a naked bike in this beautiful pearlescent green metallic flake tank, roadster style if you like, and I always refer to it as a roadster style because it's higher up than a cruiser. Your feet are a bit forward, but the handlebars are nothing like a cruiser. They're more like a Sportster, like the R883 was, and the 1200 Sportster, very similar in fact. But what I was going to say is that different owners of this particular motorcycle buy it for different reasons. Now, within the Indian market, this is seen as a large bike. Royal Enfields in India generally have been 500cc singles maximum. So when the Indian market cried out for a bigger bike, this bike was brought out to the Indian market, and it became the Indian equivalent of their Harley Davidson, if you like. So you can see this throughout the Indian market. You see these with huge big screen on the front, big hard bags on the back, and the side profile, it just looks like a miniature Harley Davidson. Now, when I park this bike next to my Vosges 900, it's tiny, guys. It's a tiny little bike. When I'm riding it, it's like riding a little 250. It's a tiny bike. But when you look at it naked and stand next to it, it's such a beautiful looking thing. To me, I mean, everything's subjective to the owner and the rider and the what you want out of a bike. But the reason this really pulls my heartstrings is what the Bingley Wheeler has said before, is that you can get on it, you can tootle around, and you really gel with it. That is what this bike has given me, something that I had with the 500 Classic. But where the 500 Classic failed was its very low horsepower. So if I ever went on a ride down a dual carriageway, down a motorway, or if I had to go to Morpheus City, it just didn't have the potential to go down along them routes comfortably. It would do it, guys. I mean, this road's shocking now, I'm more or less off-road, but it would do the journey, no problem. You could get down on the journey, but you were wringing its neck. And if I ever took my wife on the back, unless I'm doing what I'm doing now, it's totally underpowered. So when the 650 range came out, the Interceptor came out, my first thoughts were straight away to go and have a test ride on the Interceptor, which I did. I jumped on the Interceptor, and although I liked it, I liked the ride, I liked everything about it, it just didn't seem, and this sounds crazy, guys, because we know Royal Enfields of the past, the build quality was a bit suspect in certain areas. But when I jumped on the Interceptor, it felt, how should I say, low quality. I'm talking about the early Interceptors. The switch gear was plasticky, the front and rear bumper was plasticky. It just didn't feel right, so I didn't pull the trigger and buy it. And I sold the 500 Classic and stupidly bought a Benelli 500 Scrambler, what was labelled as a Scrambler, to try and fill this little gap I had in my riding, where I'd have something that would go along these rugged roads of the local area I live, but would give me something with a little bit more horsepower while remaining very easy to ride. And that was a mistake, guys, because the suspension on that was hard. I mean, this is hard at times, and that was much harder than this. It was more like a little sports bike than a Scrambler. So when the Super Meteor came out, guys, as soon as it came out, as soon as we had it in the local showrooms, I went down to the showroom and I sat on one, and it was this colour, and it was a naked 650 Super Meteor, the same as this one. And what a difference, guys. The build quality, the show of forks, everything about the bike screamed quality. And shortly after that I pulled the trigger, and I've never ever regretted that purchase since. Now, saying I've never ever regretted it, it's not that long ago. It was only last September I bought this, end of August, September, so in another couple of months, or a month and a half or so, it will be 12 months. But guys, this bike, what a bike. I mean, I've not really needed to do anything to it. I've moaned about the forward pegs, I've moaned about the rear suspension, but to be honest, guys, it's just beautiful. I'm going to get a couple of saddlebags to go on the back, I think, and I like the look at some of these leather seats that people are putting on them. The only drawback with that is if you're cleaning it, it gets wet, you're going to have to cover it while you clean it. But yeah, guys, this really, really is the perfect bike for me. It's not for everyone, and I think what I was saying earlier, if you try and change the original aesthetics of this bike to suit different needs, and you don't see the classic 500 with big hard luggage on the back, big screens on the front, trying to change that into a sort of mini Harley clone. I think it's just because in certain markets this was perceived as a bigger bike that you can go touring on, and people change it. And although the touring seat is comfortable, the screen is an advantage from wind blast, I think the aesthetics, when you look at that bike, I think it just gets lost totally. And for me, when I look at it, it just loses some of its aesthetic appeal. Now, I know we're all different guys and we all have different ideas of what we want in a motorcycle. What this guy's doing, we'll bob along this way. But I bought this on its looks, and I bought it for a toy for me. It was never meant to be for me and my wife, although she won't let me take the rear seats off and make it into a single seater and put a rack on the back. She does enjoy coming out riding on it with me, and she would like a touring seat and a screen on it, but like I've said in previous videos, that ain't happening, guys, purely because it won't be the bike that I bought in the beginning. So guys, for me, this is a perfect bike. It's as good as any 500 Classic, as good as any 350 Classic, and it's just a sweet, sweet little bike to ride. So coming up to the 12-month ownership, I will probably do a 12-month review of it. Nothing but good things to say about this bike. and I'm going to sign off here, guys, and enjoy the rest of my ride on this grey, cloudy, beautiful Spanish day. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Peace out, ride safe, and enjoy your motorcycling. Hi guys, I've just pulled over. I did read a couple of messages on one of my videos I posted about taking the cover off the air filter, and guys saying that the water would get in from the rain. Well, to be honest, we get 320 days of sunshine here, so it's not really a problem, but it could be, I suppose. But what I wanted to do, I've just pulled over, and I may add this onto the video I was just doing, is just give you a sound of the exhaust without... So I hope you can hear that, guys. We'll have a quick drive, and standard exhaust with the air cover off.